Good morning. Welcome into Five Clubs. Great to have you with us on this Tuesday morning. I am Gary Williams, of course, Golf Channel and also Sirius XM's Channel 92. That is PGA Tour Radio. This program always brought to you by Century Insurance. If your company, your business needs to look around for business insurance, if you're evaluating, evaluate Century because they will have answers for you that will satisfy your business, and they invest in golf in such great ways. The United States Golf Association and the First Tee Golf Pride. When it comes to those grips, I was with some buddies last week and I'd recommend the Align Max grips to them, and they have them on their clubs. They've never been more satisfied. They have more options, better materials, trusted by the most players at every level. That is Golf Pride. And of course, Peter Millar, this Crown Flex Merino blazer that I'm wearing today, this piece is choice. Go to petermillar.com and you can find it and everything else from the fall line, because no matter what it is that you might need, it's not just golf. As you know, it is the premier lifestyle brand. It is petermillar.com. All right, we continue Design Week today. Yesterday, we greatly appreciate the time of Andrew Green. All of these designers, thankfully for all of us, they're incredibly busy. So Andrew flew in and then zipped right up to the mountains of North Carolina because he is working on that Donald Ross Gem Linville Golf Club. Well, today, Tyler Rae will be with me in just a couple of minutes in studio. He too, very, very busy. And Tyler has been with me before and considers some of the work he's done most recently. Lookout Mountain Club. He won Restoration of the Year in 2023 outside of Chattanooga, Brookside Country Club in Canton, Ohio, and Beverly Country Club with great history in Chicago, Braeburn Country Club in Massachusetts. These are all Ross gems. And of course, Ansley Golf Club outside of Atlanta, which he's just completed that restoration. We're going to talk to him about that. I can mention Monroe as well up in the state of New York. Well, he's got his brand new golf course that is opening 2 weeks from today, just north of Charleston. And then he's also got Detroit Golf Club, because when the final putt was holed at the Rocket Classic last summer, well, they were ready to work. The bulldozers were turned on and they were on a shot clock, which we've seen in some recent years with venues that are associated with the PGA Tour. Colonial, Gil Hanse did that a couple of years ago. Obviously, Andrew Green, the aforementioned one, he did it at Eastlake. I remember several years ago, and I'm not exactly sure if it was just infrastructure or maybe some turf changes. There wasn't huge change made to Muirfield Village, but I remember they were still playing the golf tournament and they were stripping sod off some of the holes on the front nine at Jack Nicklaus's life work. Well, we're going to talk to Tyler about not only Detroit Golf Club, but Old Sawmill, but also some important commissions that he is just ready to embark on, because Seth Rayner was Lookout Mountain, which again is really, really cool and special. But it speaks to something else that I just want to touch on for a couple of minutes, because, look, we're going to do Design Week more than just 1 week a year, because all of these great individuals who are doing this incredible work at a time where we are blessed to have all this new construction being done, because I honestly think that in 50 years' time, many of the work that's being done now is going to be dotting a lot of these top 100 lists, and they already are. And I'm going to just mention some. Just think about this, and I put down a list just last night very quickly. Think about golf courses just in this century, in the last 25 years that have been constructed, that already find themselves like trading haymakers in terms of the intellectual conversations that get a little bit too impassioned in grill rooms across America. And I love them all, but Friar's Head, which I could argue maybe the best golf course built after World War II, out on the east end of Long Island, which you're going Riverhead. Okay, I know who your neighbors are. Well, guess what? It is bouncing right near the top 10 in the world. Then, of course, Bandon Dunes, the first one at the big property, opened just before the turn of the century in 1999. But Pacific Dunes and Bandon Trails and all of the others came after the turn of the century. And then Old Sandwich and Ballyneal in Holyoke, Colorado, Caprock Ranch in Valentine, Nebraska, Rock Creek Cattle Club out there in Montana, Gosser Ranch, Ohoopee, Congaree, Boston Golf Club, Nenea, MacArthur, Ladera, Colorado Golf Club, Tree Farm, Old Barnwell, Brooms Edge. These golf courses are babies in the grand scheme of things, but they have been constructed here in a way that people are going, my gosh, this is as good as anything that I've seen in quite some time, and as good as a lot of the clubs that have been dotting these lists since those lists began, which makes me think about the people who are doing it. And like I said, look, scheduling only allows for certain people, and I greatly appreciate these people who are very busy making the time to get here, because Tyler's got to get on a flight to get to Detroit, because Detroit Golf Club, because when the curtain comes down, when the fall season ends and winter begins, you know what? There'll be no grass that's being grown, and that was so important. But I made a list, and of course, Tom Doak is kind of the grandfather right now of American architecture and design, and he's very prolific, and he's on a lot of lists, and he's been doing it for a long, long time. And of course, Tom Doak will be in the World Golf Hall of Fame, as he should. You know, by the way, when he put together the confidential list, the confidential guide of golf courses, where he, as his own designer, started writing about other golf courses, which was released privately in '88 and then publicly in '96. It blew my hair back that he was writing so candidly. Think about my hair being blown back. It's quite a sight. But all these other designers like Kyle France and Kyle Phillips, and Trip Davis and Andy Staples, who's doing work at Arcola in Paramus, New Jersey, which is a real gem. I can go on, and Jeff Ogilvy's design firm, which is going to get a lot of attention here coming up. And Bo Welling, who's been in this studio. I'm leaving out so many people doing great work. We are living at a very, very good time. And that's why talking to these people and having them explain their process is fun. I know there are a lot of people out there who enjoy it, and I appreciate all the reaction, response, and feedback that we got yesterday. So we break early, and when we continue, Tyler Rae, and he's seen all the great ones. So in addition to talking about his own work, I'm going to ask him his favorites when it comes to bunkering, greens, tie-ins, golden hour golf courses. Where do you want to be when the light is fading? What are your favorites? All of that coming up. It is a Tuesday. It is Design Week. And we continue here on Golf Channel. Also, PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 92. And I know as you look at this jacket, you're going, I would look better than Gary in that Crown Fleece Merino blazer. Maybe, but you have to purchase it to know for sure. We're back with Tyler Rae right after this. Back in on this Tuesday. It is indeed Design Week. This segment brought to you by Peter Millar. It's the fall season. When it comes to layers, there's no competition. They have more to offer you. Like I said, this Crown Flex Merino blazer, I may sleep in this tonight. The weight is perfection. The guy joining me now, he patronizes Peter Millar. He's well dressed, but most importantly, he's got an eye for how to design and build golf courses. I mentioned his resume off the top of the program. He's been awfully kind to this program, making time to come in the studio, do long-form conversations, not only about his own work, but about the things that he loves, the places he loves to go to. I'm speaking, of course, of Tyler Rae. Good morning, my friend. Good to have you here.
Good morning. Excited to be here, Gary. Thank you.
Well, you know what? You got a 10:20 to Detroit. We got to make sure you get on that. And it's this project, we talked to you right before you were getting ready to get on the clock. And I mentioned some of these other guys and these properties that have PGA Tour events that have had the same or similar experience you had. When the last putt was holed, the engines went on and it was time to go to work. What did you learn about your team knowing, look, owners, they also in their minds think, I know when I want this done, but you don't have a choice because tournament week's going to begin next summer in Detroit for the Rocket Classic. What'd you learn about your team in this process?
Well, gosh, it was our backs were against the wall, and everybody really stepped up to the plate and put life to the side a little bit, unfortunately. But we needed great weather, and we needed an amazing team. And we were fortunate, very fortunate.
Okay, I want people who have watched the Rocket Classic. This is a wonderful, charming, you look at it and you go, That's the kind of place I'd love to be a member at. Great members club, but great golf history as well. Donald Ross, and you've done a fair amount of work of restorations, renovations of Ross golf courses. Let's walk through a series of these holes that we're going to show the before and then look at what now it looks like and what it's going to look like, not only most importantly for the membership, but of course for the best players in the world, the Rocket Classic. So Tyler, take us through this series of photos and tell us the holes and kind of what it was and what it's been transformed into.
We have hole number 9 here, and this is the approach from about 150 yards.
Whew.
You know, there's some sprinklers going on there, but it's one of our better shots, and you can see kind of this necklace of bunkers. Where if you're in the fairway, it gives you, a little bit of a false sense of hope there.
Now, what hole is this?
This is hole 3, before and after, and it's a little bold. You can see the bunkers underscaled, a little different green shape. Got back to the old Ross green shape.
That right front green looks like an homage to the state of New Jersey.
Yep.
Similar to the profile. Now, how about this hole?
This is hole number 10, so looking from the clubhouse.
Now look at those fairway bunkers.
Yeah, you can see very bold, big time scale. Everything was just a little off before. And here we have the bleachers right after the Rocket going down. And then the new bunkering, new green, and the ditch.
And that is
right.
hole.
This is hole 15.
Yeah, that's the hole. The par 3, a lot of noise, great atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then finally.
Yep, same hole, 15.
Yep.
Bleachers kind of surrounding it. Bigger. The green probably grew by about 25%. We have a great back left flag, front left, front right, back right, and then that ditch. What I mentioned earlier. The ditches were paramount, big time to Detroit. They helped drain the golf course, but they also came into, they bordered greens and things of that nature, so they came into play architecturally.
That short bunker, the one that is recessed from the front edge of that green, people may see that and go, I don't get it. Explain and help them get it.
Yeah, the layers of bunkering,
yeah.
And the depth perception, that's really what Ross was going for, and that's what we were going for, putting him back. So there are many layers now at Detroit where you stand on the tee and you see 3 or 4 different bunkers, and they're all at different yardages from the tee. So you might think, wow, the fairway's big or the green is bigger, but it looks harder than it is, Gary. Mm-hmm. Sort of like Mike Strantz back in the day.
Yeah.
Defeating you before you hit the golf shot.
But there was, I was lucky enough, I mentioned this yesterday, growing up at Ridgewood, being back there, one of the things that I didn't understand when I started playing there was Tillinghast similarly did a lot of that recessed layering bunkers that where you get up there and you go, it's 28 yards short of the green. That was the point. The aesthetic, but more importantly, the optic of the challenge to take on something like that is so interesting. So the golf course, the other key part for you guys was not only the construction, the transformation, and it's dramatic what you did, and the bunkering, the flare, and the scale, but the growing, the agronomics. Because when the curtain comes down on that part of the country when it comes to weather, there ain't no grass that's going to be growing come the holiday season. So do you guys feel good about it?
I feel great. We were very fortunate. I mean, best summer ever, 2 rain days, out of 110 working days.
That's awesome.
2 rain days. So that was, we needed to get lucky, and we got really lucky.
Yeah.
So the fairways, that was the one thing I had a lot of trepidation about. We sodded the greens, sodded the approaches, sodded tees, sodded the roughs. That's easy. As soon as you sod it, you can play on it, 2 months from then. But the seed, if we did not get great weather, that really worried me, and we were very lucky. So fingers crossed, it's going to be great for the Rocket Classic.
You've got a handful of Ross golf courses that are now part of your resume, and I would imagine with each one maybe unlock a little bit more about his approach, his process, his vision. Was there anything in particular that Detroit Golf Club taught you a little bit more about a lot of things that you already know? You have a great breadth and depth of who he was and what his approach was. What specifically about Detroit either tickled you or impressed you about what he was trying to do there?
Wow, great question, Gary. I think when you really study Ross and you study his whole lineage and his whole career, you see that he progressed and he got better and he evolved as an architect, as we all do, and as we all evolve in life, and we change and we sort of get better and we have a daily routine. Same thing with Ross, where 1914 is when he laid out the golf course. He just got done with Colt at Old Elm, which was transformational for his career. And guess what he did at Old Elm? Big scale, big bunkers, just like what we just put back at Detroit. So he was very, it was complimentary of Colt, and he kind of copied Colt a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we see later in his career he evolves, and he doesn't have so much layering of bunkers. Maybe he doesn't have so many 4 bunkers. Maybe he doesn't have as wide open approaches. And so we were period specific, putting it back to 1914 Ross, which is different than maybe Inverness or Interlaken,
sure,
or Oak Hill or Beverly, in Chicago. Aronimink we just talked about earlier.
Yes.
These, Seminole in 31. He's very different in his career in 31 versus 1914.
Yeah.
Very cool to see. So we try to be period specific and nail that. And so we hope that people play it, enjoy it, and not just think, oh, it's another Donald Ross, because it's going to look a little different than some of the Rosses they are used to.
Sure. I'm glad you mentioned Old Elm, because the Ross Colt collabs, the list is very, very, very short. And the fact that Harry Colt, who obviously was not prolific in this country, but is so important historically, and the fact that Ross did the construction. And you're right, scale on a piece of land that is modest in size. Let's turn our attention to a golf course outside of the Atlanta area, because this golf course doesn't have history in terms of, its birth certificate that some of these other places you've worked on does, but it has history when it comes to championships and championship golfers who either won events there or call it home now. Give everybody a little sense of what you accomplished at Ansley outside of Atlanta, which I guess that you're hitting the opening tee shot for the grand reopening?
Thursday, yep, Thursday 1 p.m., so it'll be great. It'll be first
Can we get footage of that?
Yeah, first round of golf in a couple, 4 or 5 months. So we'll see. Hopefully I don't top one, but we'll be okay.
So tell me what you got and then what you produced. What did you find there, and what do we have now?
What we had is a old 1986, 87, 88 Bob Cup.
Yep.
Wonderful golf architect in his own right from Atlanta. And now we have this rugged bunker style, big, beautiful Zoysia fairways. It's a players club, and it was very hard before. And so our goal was to not make it easier, not make it harder, but kind of champion that history for the club. And so it's very hard still, but we moved some ponds and lakes, rerouted it lightly, rebunkered it. I think it's got a very delicate set of greens, very soft, because they keep them very quick there. I mean,
Yeah.
It will be 13, 14 on the stimp, Gary. So we didn't want to put too much flavor in the greens. They have just enough, but a lot of great players there, Roberto Castro, Harris English, Stuart Sink. It's a players club, and it's still going to be very tough and long.
Yeah, so it's interesting that when you contrast, look, Detroit Golf Club has to try to challenge the best players in the world, but as you said when you were in here before you started the project, look, this is about the membership and about, yes, we want those players to certainly take on a stern test. Ansley, you mentioned length, and I think maybe they may have a new member who has as much ball speed as anybody in the world at the elite level. What is different about that? Knowing that yes, speed of greens and length of golf course, that is a priority there. How much does that challenge the elasticity of your mind when it comes to your work?
Wow. Well, every client and golf course is different, and we try to be a chameleon and go to every different property and fit what they're really looking for, and not maybe cater so much. We still want to have a robust style, and we still want to make it better than it was. But I think For Ansley, it's like, okay, we know it's a players club. There's still women that play there. There's still, older gentlemen that play there, still juniors. So we have a complementary set of tees. We call it elasticity within the golf course.
Yep.
So we have forward tees that go, way up, and we have champ tees that go way back. So anybody can play it. So it's not going to be too hard. So we have that in mind. But it's going to be different than maybe what we did at Old Sawmill, or maybe what we're doing at Detroit or Beverly, or St. Louis in the future, or Lookout Mountain. A lot of our clubs, we try to just deep dive, get fully enthralled at that club. As soon as we drive into, through the gates or drive into the parking lot, from the airport, it's like, okay, let's get our mentality on for this club, and then be chameleons and try to honor this club and set this club up for success for the future and make it the best we can. So that's my favorite part of our business. Everywhere we go, we sort of, put our mask on for that club and really get into it. And we're there, as many days as we are for a week. We're all in Detroit, all in. And then we go to Ansley, all in Ansley. And then we go to, St. David's or Craigburn or Hyde Park, other places we're working right now, and then we're all in there.
I've said this to guys and women who are members at clubs, that when you hire somebody to do work on some place that means so much to so many, you're not hiring a contractor. You are starting a relationship, and you hope it's a relationship that's going to last well beyond when the work is done, because these are living, breathing things. You'd like to believe that you are now the designer in residence, and that they're going to appeal to you if a tweak needs to be done here or a tweak needs to be done there. With original work, you walk around with a founding group of members or an owner, and you show them things they can't see because it's a blank canvas. When you speak before a membership, and Andrew Green spoke to this yesterday, you're talking to people who have a lifetime of memories, many of them on that golf course. Has that been a learned skill for you, to present to a group of people about a place that they know much more about than you do when it comes to the personal touches that it's meant to them and to their families? What has that taught you about yourself and your ability to orate and present and share thought?
Well, you have to be very delicate. And you don't want to step on anybody's toes. And Andrew's right. I mean, everybody has memories there, or maybe their last golf round with their father or grandfather, or first golf round with their kids, teaching their kids. And so that resonated. I did watch yesterday, and I understood, and I felt a lot of the same feelings. But we try to go in and be very thoughtful, delicate. I used to be a little more brash, but we don't want to, at the same point, we don't want to be friends with, you can't be friends with everybody.
Sure.
And so there is this fine line, Gary, that we walk, and sometimes I leave and depart for the airport after a long day, and I say, well, I'm not going to be friends with everybody in that room. And it's tough. You want to be friends, you want to be popular, you want to be kind to everybody, but you can't appease everybody.
No.
Or else you will give them a milquetoast product, and then you won't honor the heritage of the club, or you won't give them the greatest product.
Yep.
So you have to walk that fine line, and it's not easy. I've learned, as we get older, and we've gotten better at it.
Well, Old Sawmill, opening in a couple of weeks. When we come back, we're going to talk about that original design of yours in the state of South Carolina, which is just every day people wake up and you go, we got a new gift. And now, north of one of the great cities in the world, Charleston, you mentioned St. Louis. Rainier is in your immediate future, not just there, but somewhere else as well. It's great to have Tyler Rae with us in studio. It is Design Week. If you love the thoughts and the vision of the people who do this work at the top of the food chain, we're lucky enough to have them with us this week. We continue with Tyler Rae right here on a Tuesday on Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio Sirius XM right after this. Bottom of the hour, this Tuesday edition of 5 Clubs. It is Design Week here. Golf Channel, of course, PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM's. That's Channel 92. This segment brought to you by Century Insurance. Knowing the team at Centra, I can promise you, when you go to them with your business insurance needs, they're the most responsive, responsible, insightful people. It is Century Insurance. They are right by you. Tyler Rae continues with me in studio. All right, look, this is a neighborhood, the state of South Carolina, that there's some bullies that have moved into the neighborhood in a very good way. I'm so happy for people in the Southeast. The corridor that runs across I-20, it's like, wow, that place is there, and it's there, and it's there. And now here is your place, Old Sawmill, getting ready to open north of one of the great cities in the world. Of course, you got Yeamans Hall, which is Rainer, and here you are getting ready to open this golf course. Give us an update. And we've got some photos to share with people who may not have heard the conversation you and I had previously. What were you trying to achieve?
It was something different for South Carolina. There's a lot of good, great golf. You just mentioned, Yeamans Hall, and there's Bulls Bay, and there's Country Club of Charleston, Kiowa, and one of my favorites, anywhere is Cacique.
Yes,
incredible. And but no, we're trying to go for. It's beautiful, wide open, gorgeous land, rolling land. It's very rolling for Charleston. Everything is. Everything in Charleston's a little flat, except for that back nine. There's a couple back nine holes at Yeamans that are very hilly, surprisingly, out of the blue. So there's some beautiful rolls in the land here at Old Sawmill. It's big, bold, brawny, big perch greens, as you see right there. But we were just going for a little bit of something different and something fun. We want people to come back time after time and enjoy it.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed, and we see, these are more dramatic, that looks like a molar. Yeah. It looks like a great big tooth, which is cool, is that the corners of some of the bunkers the greens that you design, I love the little tongues, the little wings, the flare that the corners, is that something that was an inspiration from somebody in particular? Is that something that the aesthetic and the optic that you like? Because I look at some of your work and it's like, I love that. I love the idea of a pin position, getting close to that, or maybe inside of those areas. Explain just that particular design feature.
Usually, I grew up on so many golf courses as you did, Gary, where the greens had shrunken over time and they were very round and egg-shaped, like we saw at Detroit earlier. With some of those prior green shapes from last year, you almost didn't realize how round they were until you saw the photos.
Yes.
But we try to do the opposite, where we try to get these beautiful corners, back left, back right, front left, front right, where they are married to the bunkers, meaning they are actually, a little closer, and the walk the plank kind of back pin or back right pin, where if you just miss, you then are in a bunker. With a tough up and down, maybe short-sided. But then again, you can put flags. It gives us a lot of variety because you can put flags anywhere in the middle and it still plays like a normal green. But we like to defend par inside 133. That's our kind of goal, because I read that statistic a couple years ago that changed the game for me, where it was 133 yards, 76.6% of golf shots come inside 133. Mm-hmm. So the rest of your game is less than 25% outside of 133. So why don't we defend par at the approach at the green?
Right.
Instead of off the tee with heavily bunkered fairways and really high, deep rough and skinny fairways. Let's have a little more fun, but then protect the approach and with those funky green shapes and those really fun bunker shapes.
This gets to something I mentioned, and again, the list is not complete, but all these golf courses built in the last 25 years, and a fair number of them was either one individual, a group of people that said, this is a passion project for me, and then whether it's having an opportunity to present to a handful of those or a couple of those. And look, you and all your peers in the industry, I know you're highly respectful of each other, but this is highly intensely competitive stuff. The presentation to somebody who wants to do something that means everything to them, what is that process like, knowing you are not likely the only one to giving them a vision of what this can be?
Well, I feel like sometimes multiple architects going for a job, they might all look the same. They might all have the same style, like we saw potentially with Doak, Gil Hance, Corn Crenshaw. Some of it became a little of that minimalist similarity. It just looked a little bit homogenous and a little bit like you almost couldn't tell one from the other. For a little bit there, probably from 2000 to 2015, that when those three, and David McClay Kidd, he in there as well, those four really were getting all the work in America and abroad. And so we said, hey, what's going to set ourselves apart here? And when we go into interviews, same thing. How do we set ourselves apart? Hey, we're personally shaping some of the work, or most of the work. We have all our guys doing the bunkers. I personally shape the greens. We're going to spend a lot of time on property. How is Old Sawmill going to look different as a new build than some of the Corn Crenshaw stuff I built at Dormy Club? Or how's it going to look different than the new Gil Hance course at Highgrove? Or
right.
Or the work at Pinehurst number 4 that he did, and things of that nature. So how are we going to separate ourselves? Because I don't want golf to all look the same. And that's why I love what Brian Schneider did with Old Barnwell.
Right.
It was different. It was a little Victorian. It was bold. It was cool. And it was fresh.
Right.
So I want Old Barnwell. The funniest.
And some Walter Travis flair that people are like, well, but those the little moundings and the separation from it. Exactly. I mean, and again, like I said, there's so many people that are doing great work, and Brian certainly, Blake Connet, who was a big part of that project as well. It's a good point. I mean, you want to differentiate yourself, but you mentioned these men who are the titans. They are, and I know you've been inspired by all of them in terms of the work that they've done. As far as what you want this growing membership to get out of the experience when they walk off the 18th green, what do you think are the features, the elements that they're going to go, God, I loved that fairway bunker on 6, or I love the approach to 13. What do you think will be the overarching kind of redeemable thing that these guys are going to go, yeah, those are the things I remember?
Always, there isn't a weak link. That is the goal, Gary. 18 really solid golf holes and a bunch of really great golf holes, but we don't want any duds. Mm-hmm. So I want 18 really strong golf holes where it's hard to discern what your favorite is. Mm-hmm. So that would be number one. And walk off and say, hey, that was gorgeous. I can't wait to go back and play again. It was fun. It didn't beat me up too much. Maybe the bunkers are a little deep, here and there.
Sure.
But most approaches you can run the ball in. It's not going to hurt the senior player or the low ball flight player too much.
Well, and that requires certain turf conditions, which is, again, great.
Bouncy, firm.
Absolutely. I've got so much I want to try to jam in before we're done here. Let's get a thought or two on both St. Louis Golf Club or Country Club and also Mountain Lake. Let's start with St. Louis. Again, C.B. McDonald and Rayner didn't venture west. Right. This is getting as far west as those guys chose to go. 5 USGA championships, a U.S. Open. They had the Curtis Cup in 2014. What about this place are you excited about?
Just the bones.
Yes.
Everything's sitting there. Beautiful 40,000 square foot clubhouse, old polo field behind. Just great part of the country. St. Louis is very underrated. I love St. Louis, and it's easy to get to. But really, the golf course, the land is incredible. It has 2 back-to-back par 3s at holes number 2 and 3 out of the gate, which is so rare. And it has all the templates sitting there. And CB McDonald, 7 golf courses existing right now. I mean, how cool is that we get to touch one of the 7 remaining CB McDonald golf courses? So that's probably the highlight of our year for new signings. Mm-hmm. And we're really excited for that.
All right, and let's get to Mountain Lake. Lake Wales, Florida, right in the heart of the center of the state of Florida. The history there is very interesting. 3 individuals who then went on and collaborated on the creation of Fisher's Island as well, and then 2 of them involved in Yeaman's Hall. I mean, this is important stuff here. Mountain Lake is a time capsule of Seth Rayner. Give everybody an idea of what it is that you're going to do there with a lot of template holes.
Well, the hard part is, Gary, I mean, everybody loves Mountain Lake already.
Yes.
So this is a very demanding, tough project. And we don't want to screw this up. We have to really be on our game. But we're going to go back It's a little, we're going to harken back a little bit to the old photos, get the templates correct. So Brian Silva, great architect, came in early 2000s, had no aerial photography, had no really historical newspapers or anything to go off of. And so he was guessing a little bit with the templates, which ones were which. So we've found with our historical sleuthing and sort of our research that some of the templates are on the wrong holes. So, the punch bowl was really number 3, and then
wow.
There's a great, road hole on number 13 and things of that nature.
Sure.
So just a couple things are off. We're going to get that right, historically accurate, and we just don't want to screw it up. I mean, it is such a delicate, touch down there. And really, we're just going to refine it a little bit. It is an infrastructure-driven project, first and foremost. So the greens are pretty much failing. They're 25 years old, and the bunkers are deteriorating. The bunker faces are falling and sloughing in. So it's a first and foremost infrastructure-driven project that we're going to then try to get the history and accuracy correct, and then give it that old world Rainer look that isn't super clean. We just don't want it so clean. But our goal is people to come down there next year. Well, I guess it would be in 2 years because it's next summer we're doing work. So it would be unveiled November of 26. So this time next year, and them to still love it and us to not ruin it.
Sure. I mean, again, you consider the history there, the men involved, and not only the creation of the golf course, Rainer, but also, you think of the founders of like landscape architecture in America and the Homestead family. That's it. And I mentioned Fisher's Island, which is, again, another historical place as well. If you walk in the clubhouse in Mountain Lake, you would think that Ozzie and Harriet will be playing on the TV. It is truly one of the most unique. It's an anomaly in the state of Florida. All right, let me get to some things that I love doing with you, because you made a point in your life, because this is what you wanted to do, is that you wanted to see everything, not only for the enjoyment of it, but to hold on to it, and maybe the application of a thought or a feature here, there, or anywhere. If I asked you the golf courses that are your favorite golf courses when it comes to the bunkering, give me a couple that you look at and you go, this is as fine a bunkered golf course as there is in this country. What are they?
Well, I might give you some across the world.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll start in America. LACC, Los Angeles Country Club. I thought the work there is incredible. How it's rustic and it blends into the Barrancas and all of that. Phenomenal. And then we would probably go with Essex up in Boston. Mm-hmm. Complete inverse of that, just very basic, old school. They look like bathtubs, very natural, but they serve a purpose. Very early Donald Ross, 1908 to 1909, 10, 11. Then I'd probably say Myopia Hunt Club. Same sort of cool, deep, very rugged, Victorian style. And then across the pond, we would probably go with Royal County Down. I remember physically, Gary, taking photos in 2009 of so many bunkers there, and then pulling them back up on my phone, or where it was before the phones, but pulling back up on my computer to see and study some of those beautiful blown out bunkers there. And then I'd have to say Ganton in England, because they're one of the deepest and most rugged in the world. And then probably finish off with, Victoria, Yara Yara, or something in the Sandbelt, because those are very eclectic. Okay,
I'm going to just give you a couple of the ones. Cypress Point, to me, the Mackenzie bunkering there, the erosion, the presentation, and it's not just when you play. Look, 13 is particularly dramatic. The dune helps the overall presentation, because a lot of that kind of bleeds right in to the forming of these jagged bunkers. That one in particular, I think San Francisco Golf Club as well, the way that Tillinghast, the diagonal usage of the bunkerings he had on a beautiful site as well. Those are two. Now, let's get to some greens. From beginning to end, give me some sets of greens that you think are as good, if not the best. And you can say, I think this is the best set of greens in America, or just your favorite.
Wow, this is tough, but Belvedere up in northern Michigan has an unbelievable set of greens that you almost stand to the side and you have to say, okay, I'm going to let the next group play through so I can study this green a little more. I mean, that's how perplexing they are. And then I'd probably say Hollywood in New Jersey. I mean, what a great set.
Very in a state that is very, very deep with good. Hollywood kind of gets not lost, but it does. Everybody starts obviously with PV, and then Baltusrol, and we can go anyway.
Yeah, Baltusrol lower's really good.
Yeah,
PV's phenomenal. Peachtree, under the radar as well.
Yeah,
probably best set from RTJ. These little domes in some of these greens. I was just down there this spring again for maybe the third or fourth time because I just had to. While I was working in Atlanta at Ansley, I said I gotta go see Peachtree again and study. I walked around with William Shirley, the superintendent, had a great day. So
I always start with Chicago golf. I think on a flat piece of land, I think they are 18 one-act plays. This is art. You walk on that first green, and of course, first 4 holes are a punch in the grill. Very hard. But again, I look at them and I'm mesmerized every time 1 through 18. Those are the ones. I think Oakmont has again, they're more provocative. And obviously the speeds may get to you, but when you look at contour and shaping, those are a couple. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to get to some more favorites with Tyler Rae because I want to ask him about some things that maybe you don't necessarily think of. What are golf courses when the light is fading that he most wants to be on? And also tie-ins, the golf courses that he thinks threads one hole to the next as well as anywhere. We come back with him. Some final thoughts as well this Tuesday edition. 5 Clubs on Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio's Channel 92, Sirius XM. Back after this. All right, a couple minutes left on this Tuesday Design Week. Appreciate Tyler Rae today, Andrew Green yesterday, tomorrow. Rob Collins and Gil Hance will join me. This segment is brought to you by Golf Pride. When it comes to grips, the options you have, the quality of the materials, it's why the Golf Pride, when you pull out clubs from any bag, it's Golf Pride. They are the standard in the industry. All right, Tyler, let's get to a couple other things that I want to get your thoughts on. What do you think your favorite crescendos, golf courses that the last 4 or 5 you go, that punctuation is going to elevate this in my mind to a place that's going to be very lofty. Give me the crescendos that you like so much. Who ends it right?
The king of it all is Marion. I mean, that final stretch once you cross the road is off the charts. Then I'd go with some under the radar ones, maybe Davenport in Iowa.
Wow.
Very good C.H. Allison. Kirtland in Ohio.
Okay.
Very cool. Really, you come out of this big valley at the end, and there's a very eclectic 4 or 5 holes. Great back 9 at Kirtland. Then there's probably Whistling Straits. How about that? All along the water of Lake Michigan to finish. Can't beat that.
No, let me say that Pine Valley, which is it's a tough ask to go up against. I think Pine Valley, especially if you stand on 10-10, you look at 18 and you go, how do they build this? And I think National, as you turn back toward that windmill, and as it continues to approach, and then obviously 18, it's about the drama of seeing that clubhouse on the left as well. And I think Crystal Downs, because it's so rollicking, and as you turn back, as you play along that ridge, and then you play 14 and you look out and you see all of that land out in front of you, Crystal Lake in one direction, Lake Michigan in the other. All right, let me get golden hour. A couple places you want to be when the light is fading and you can see contrast and shadows and contour. What are they?
St. Enendoc over in England.
Okay.
Really, really special. There's boats off in the distance. And then probably Brancaster in England as well. I might go with England forward, finish here, because England is so idyllic to me when the sun is going down. But yeah, Royal West Norfolk Brancaster is pretty special. Then I'd probably have to say, what about the Country Club up in Boston? Oh, I mean, how cool is that with the bunkers, the hairy bunkers, and the beautiful little greens, the yellow clubhouse in the distance. And then what about Pinehurst? Pinehurst number 2 as you're finishing. Great finish, by the way.
You can really see that's the time of the day that everyone says, well, it's flat. No, it isn't.
You see all those
all the little rumples.
Wrinkles and rumples, and then the sand, how it just bleeds into the fairways. And when I was building Dormy Club with Corn Crenshaw in 06, I would go walk Pinehurst number 2. So this question it brings that out in me, because I walked it 100 times, from 6 p.m. onward when the golden hour.
Yeah, that's my favorite time of the day, soft light, sea contour. I think that Old Sandwich and Plymouth, Mass, because that's when you can see texture and you can see the contrast of the golf course so well. And I would mention Caprock Ranch, that you actually literally are straddling Central Time and Mountain Time. It's an hour earlier on the other side of the canyon. Again, contrast and contour and color. We need more time with you, but you don't have much time to spare. Congratulations on what you've done. I'm excited about Ansley, certainly Old Sawmill opening up in a couple of weeks. Of course, Detroit Golf Club for the Rocket Classic for next summer. You will be back, my friend. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, again, we're going to continue Design Week tomorrow. That's why we want to talk to these people, because their thoughts are interesting. They go, God, I got to get to this place, into that place. Well, Rob Collins will be with me tomorrow. Speaking of important commissions like him, he's gotten a few lately. And of course, Gil, who's gotten as much as anybody, they will join me tomorrow. For all of us here at 5 Clubs and Signature Sports Group, have a great Tuesday. We will see you tomorrow.